Good morning from London. The weather is okay here. Hello to all dear comrades, friends and supporters. This is Dr. Dermot Hudson, the Chairman of the British Group for the Study of the Juche Idea, Chairman of the Korean Friendship Association of the UK, an official delegate of the KFA for the UK, President of the Association for Study of Sangam Politics UK, and of course owner of this channel, Sangam 007. And I'm just taking a little bit of time out from my busy schedule, as we have the KFA International meeting coming up within the next 48 hours, to make this short video responding to some criticisms, if you can call them that, against me over a letter I sent to the Morning Star newspaper about the Cuban Missile Crisis and the DPRK, and just to clarify things, I sent a letter to the Morning Star explaining how Khrushchev sold Cuba out in 1962, 60 years ago, and how this showed that countries like the DPRK cannot rely on other countries for their defence, and hence the DPRK is correct to develop a nuclear deterrent. Now, I'm going to put a link up to my earlier video on the subject and an article I wrote on the subject in the description. But, some people have tried to rewrite history, tried to say that Khrushchev's debacle in Cuba, he's a sellout of the Cuban people, wasn't a sellout, in fact, even tried to say it was some kind of great victory, and I think, they've missed the point completely, but before I address that, let's just quote from Chairman Kim Jong-il what he had to say about Khrushchev. In the past, revisionists such as Khrushchev, who appeared in the international communist movement, seriously undermined communist morality. Khrushchev, by slandering Stalin, gave the negative impression to the world that communists were ignorant of their forerunners in the revolution and fought one another. And that's just, quotes about Khrushchev that I had near to hand. There's other things that Chairman Kim Jong-il and President Kim Il-sung said about Khrushchev, but don't have time to go into them. But anyway, people who are saying, Khrushchev got a good deal out of the US imperialists over Cuba, say they totally missed the point, because the point is not whether the USSR got a good deal or bad deal. The point is obviously the interests of the Cuban people, and what the whole affair showed was that a small country cannot rely on a big country for its defence. And it was shortly after the Cuban Missile Crisis that the Workers' Party of Korea, led by President Kim Il-sung, in December 1962 announced the policy of building the economy and defence in parallel. And later, in March 2013, respected Marshal Kim Jong-un, he produced what was really a sort of modern and updated version of that policy. He put forward the line of building the nuclear force and economy in parallel. That was known as Pyongyang, and that was concluded in 2018. But, the DPRK had learnt through the Cuban Missile Crisis, but also earlier incidents like during the anti-Japanese armed struggle, when some anti-Japanese guerrillas wanted the DPRK, wanted the USSR to supply a hand grenade factory to the anti-Japanese guerrillas of the Korean People's Revolutionary Army. This did not happen, so this convinced them to rely on their own resources, basically self-reliance. This is the most important lesson to be learnt from the Cuban Missile Crisis and other incidents. And the people who've criticised me also have tried to say that the Cuban leadership were consulted. Well, no, they weren't, because the talks were between the USA and USSR. They were not freeway talks between the US, USSR and Cuba. And some accounts actually said that Fidel Castro was very angry about what Khrushchev did, that anti-Khrushchev slogans were chanted in the streets of Havana, and certainly Che Guevara also strongly criticised it in an interview given, ironically, to the British Daily Worker, which was the forerunner of the Morning Star. And Cuba actually put forward its own 5 points, which included the demand for the closure of Guantanamo Bay and the withdrawal of US troops from that, an end to the blockade, an end to US planes intruding into Cuban territory. But these demands were not included in the final settlement of the Cuban Missile Crisis, and part of the deal was for so-called UN inspections of Cuba, basically a violation of Cuba's sovereignty, to be carried out, which Cuba rejected, and the Soviet leader Mikoyan was sent to Cuba to try put pressure on them to accept, and also the puppet General Secretary of the UN, U Thant, also went to Cuba to try and force the Cubans to accept UN inspections. That's basically what happened. But I did write one letter back to the Morning Star in reply to the person who attacked me, that the Morning Star have not published that one, and I wrote another letter yesterday, which so far has not been published, but I guess it's early days. I would say this year I've been fairly lucky with the Morning Star. They've published a lot of my letters except for two. One was about the South Korean puppets and human scum defectors sending COVID-19 into the DPRK, which they did not publish. Now there's a rumour that there's a member of the Morning Star staff who actually lived in South Korea, so that might have something to do with it. And they also wouldn't publish a letter I sent about Gorbachev. But anyway, I'm not here to discuss the rights and wrongs of the Morning Star and the party behind it. Anyway, that's about it for today. Thank people for watching. Thank you for your support. If you're not already a subscriber to the channel, Songham 007, please consider subscribing, and also to the channel Korean Friendship Association of the UK. And you can support us by buying our books from lulu.com. There'll be a link in the description. And also by participating in our activities. And, we'll be having a couple of events coming up in the next few months, in December and January 2023. Yes, we've got to 2023 already, it seems. Anyway, wish you all a good day and see you again. Goodbye.